No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of Monday Night Raw for October 23rd, 2023, as the road to Crown Jewel continues. We opened up Raw with footage from last week with Finn Balor and Damian Priest regaining the tag team titles. The new champs came to the ring for a promo to celebrate their victory. They brought up how the rest of the crew was in the clubhouse because they have a hell of a night planned. Cody Rhodes interrupted and asked Judgment Day how it felt for them to be interrupted in a promo for once. Cody said that he had some choice words for the leader of Judgment Day, but Rhea Ripley was not there. He did have something to say to Priest. He said the low blow from last week was not the final shot in the fight. It will not be the final shot in the fight. And Priest brought up how he also put Cody through a table. And then Priest brought up Cody's story and how Cody's story has to be that he failed. Cody then suggested that maybe they should put that theory to the test. And Priest said he liked the idea. He proposed a match for Crown Jewel. Cody accepted. And then Rhea Ripley and Dominic did in fact show up. Jey Uso, however, attacked Dominic. Cody went after Priest. But then J.D. McDonough clipped Cody's leg, and then Priest grabbed a steel chair and attacked Cody's leg with the chair. Solid opening segment here, although I will say this about J.D. McDonough. When are we getting a resolution to this storyline? I feel like they're just dragging it out week after week, like he's kind of in the group, but not really. Like, can we have a conclusion? Either he's in or he's out. Like, I'm just ready for it to be done with at this point. Just wanted to throw that out there. We had our first match of the evening, which was the New Day versus the Alpha Academy with Tozawa out there and, of course, Maxine Dupree. A rare babyface versus babyface tag team match. Kofi missed the tip, the Trouble in Paradise, early on, and then Gable sent Kofi over the top rope. Otis then took out both New Day members outside of the ring, and then after the commercial break, Kofi was able to avoid Otis's Vader splash, and then Xavier Woods tagged in, went at it with Gable. Gable and Otis ended up double teaming Woods. Otis had Woods up on his shoulders, and Gable came off the top with a bulldog, but Kofi was able to break up the pinfall attempt. And then Otis ended up going into the ring post. Gable tagged back in. Xavier busted out a reverse caterpillar, but Gable turned it into an ankle lock. Woods escaped. Gable was sent to the outside, and then New Day double teamed Otis. Kofi hit the tip, Trouble in Paradise. And then Xavier came off the top with the big elbow and got the win. It was a good match. I definitely think it was a good match. Alpha Academy loses. It is what it is. I mean, somebody's got to win. And I guess New Day will be built up for Judgment Day. I suppose that the reason for Alpha Academy losing is that there's still a plan for Chad Gable to challenge for the Intercontinental title. I guess we'll see about. We had a vignette for Ivar. Ivar is getting a singles push since his partner Eric is out of action. We had Rhea Ripley running into Seth freaking Rollins backstage and brought up how maybe Seth Rollins needs some insurance in the form of Judgment Day. But Rollins turned it down. He was not interested in working with Judgment Day. Even when Rhea Ripley said that maybe Rollins could make it 1,000 days like Roman Reigns. Rollins said he wants to be nothing like Reigns. And she responded by saying, well, that's not a no. So I guess the plot thickens, and we'll talk more about this in just a few moments. Shout out to Hamp Connell, who's back. Appreciate it. Says, today in history, 1995, Alundra Blaze wins the WWF Women's title, and then 2 months later, she shows up on Nitro and throws it in the trash. Crazy to think that it's been so long since that moment when Alundra Blaze took the women's title and put it in the trash. Like, it's just mind-blowing to me. We're getting close to 30 years since that happened. Wild. We had Natalya giving Indi Hartwell a pep talk for her NXT championship opportunity against Becky Lynch. And then Becky cut a backstage promo to hype up her match. And we had the NXT title match, Becky Lynch versus Indi Hartwell. And Lila Valkyrie was at ringside. She's scheduled to challenge the champion on NXT. And you know what? I mean, it's Indi Hartwell, so I don't think anybody thought she had any chance of winning. But also, when you have this match set up for NXT, are they really going to have Becky lose the title on Raw to set up Indi Hartwell versus Valkyrie? No, they're not. So I really did not care about this match. It was just anticlimactic. Candice LeRae was watching. You know, it gives Indi Hartwell a little bit of a chance to show her stuff because they haven't done jack with her since she debuted on the main roster. And it was a solid match, but it was hard to really care about it. Crowd seemed pretty bored. They were cheering for Becky. It was like a John Cena open challenge for the United States title light, basically. Match was decent, and Indi did get in some offense, but no surprise here. Becky won, tapped out. Indi and Michael Cole used a very game Indi Hartwell line. You know, felt very much like an AEW match where it's like the big star versus the lower card person. You're trying to elevate the lower card person by having them put up a good fight. And, you know, it's just kind of boring to me. Like, I think it's fine if you do it every once in a while, but especially in AEW, it's like almost a weekly thing. And now WWE's doing with Becky Lynch. And I get it. They want to have Becky elevate the other people. But it's like ever since that John Cena open challenge routine he did, like, companies are always trying to recreate that now. And I get bored with it, quite frankly. Anyways, after the match was over, they shook hands. So, you know, we'll see if anything comes out of this. I mean, it wasn't a blow-away match by any means, and wouldn't shock me if Indi's just back in catering next week. Xia Li then attacked Candice LeRae backstage, and that set up Xia Li versus Candice for next week's Halloween edition of Monday Night Raw. And Mickey, the answer was that Becky Lynch turned heel and became a Lady Gaga knockoff, and now she's back to being the man because that gimmick, they tried to do something different with her, but it was quite cringy. And now she's kind of like that character, but as a baby face. But I think Becky Lynch is still one of their top stars, but I feel like, man, she has really cooled off since her peak in 2018 and 2019. We had Nick Aldis showing up at Raw, even though he kicked out Adam Pearce from SmackDown, and he did apologize for what he did, said it was a rookie error. And Pearce accepted the apology, said that it's water under the bridge, and he even said that he was going to let Aldis stay and see how the flagship show operates. We had a contract signing. We got one on Friday, so we have to have one on Raw as well. Everybody was in the ring. Zoe Stark, Nia Jax, Raquel, Shayna Baszler. They all signed. And then Rhea Ripley came out there. And she said the match is a conspiracy, but she's going to prevail. There'll be 4 less women in her division. And then Nia Jax got on the mic, and she said that Rhea is smart and wants to have Nia squash the other women for her. And Raquel had enough of Nia yapping away, so she attacked her. A big fight broke out, and it came down to Nia and Raquel. You had officials coming out there. It was the typical pull apart brawl, let them fight chants from the fans, so on and so forth. And it was an okay segment, contract signings, whatever. It was just what it was. Don't really care that much about the match. This really did nothing, but it'll probably be a fun match with all the chaos in there and all the carnage. I mean, they should really just let them have a wild brawl. Like, think of like the 6-pack challenge that we had years ago, even though this is a 5-way, or the Armageddon match where it was just pandemonium, everybody fighting all over the place. Like, it could be entertaining. It does have potential to be better than it seems on paper. At Backstage, we had Ludwig Kaiser warning Vinci to win against Johnny Gargano because Kaiser's responsible for Vinci put in that position by the IC champion Gunther. And Bronson Reed then showed up and said he's ready for another match whenever Gunther is ready. And then Tozawa showed up and wanted a match with Reed, and Reed initially blew it off, but then Tozawa chopped him. So Reed said, "It's your funeral." We had Johnny Gargano versus Giovanni Vinci. Gargano still has his crappy music. I don't know why they cannot let him have his own music back. And it was a basic match here, pretty short, really. You had Kaiser getting on the apron for a distraction, but then Ciampa returned. Tommaso Ciampa attacked Kaiser, and then Gargano pinned Vinci with the one final beat. I can imagine the ring general is not going to be happy with this. Hamp Kano with a little history lesson for everybody, so thank you for that, Hamp. I appreciate it. Hamp sent in $9.99 and said the following. Tomorrow in history, so this is tomorrow, everybody. Halloween Havoc 1999, Goldberg wins the world title from Sting. The next night, it's announced it was a non-title match and the title was vacated. This made 0 sense. I got 2 words for you, Hamp. Vince Russo. That was Vince Russo trying to hit the reset button, and he set up that world title tournament, trying to draw up interest. That was Russo's thing. And it did not work out too well for WCW. We had a Shinsuke Nakamura vignette. It was in subtitles, and he was talking about his future. Basically, he wants to know who is worthy enough to set him free. Guess we'll see who they come up with to feud with Nakamura next. Honestly, I really don't care that much. Logan Paul came to the ring for a promo, and he said he's a free agent, and when he beats Rey Mysterio, people will be talking about that. He said he might even defend the title on Raw. Dominic Mysterio arrived, the son of Rey Mysterio, and he was trying to talk. You heard all the boos, the microphone, and Logan told people to show Dominic some respect. And then Logan Paul invited Samantha Irving into the ring. She declined. They were playing off SummerSlam, and he thanked her and wanted to give her flowers for her great announcing work. She reluctantly got into the ring, and Logan said that he appreciated how she kept it professional at SummerSlam and asked her if she would announce him as the new United States champion. She refused to do this, and I wonder, why did she even get in the ring in the first place? Ricochet then attacked Logan Paul and Dominic, and he went for the shooting star press, but Logan was able to pull Dominic out of the ring. Segment was pretty entertaining, and there's all the talk now. Are they turning down Dominic's microphone? Are they turning up the boos, even though clearly people are booing Dominic? Like, you could see it in the audience. People are booing him, but there's still people out there claiming that it's piped in, and it might be manipulated to a degree. Like, it wouldn't shock me if they're purposely turning down Dominic's mic to make it sound like the boos are so loud he can't even get a word in. It's entertaining nonetheless, so, I'm enjoying it. We had Natalya and Nikki Cross versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. Nikki Cross was selected as the partner because Piper Niven wasn't cleared for the show. Nikki just stood on the apron, no emotion whatsoever. And then she just walked off. She left. Natalya was on her own, and she held her own a little bit, but the numbers game did catch up with her, and Piper Niven pinned Natalya with the crossbody. Basically just a filler segment. Not sure what they're doing with Nikki Cross. They just have her out there being crazy, and that's that for her. We had Drew McIntyre backstage and said he was sorry about what happened last week, but of course they're continuing the heel turn tease here. And then The Miz made a little appearance on the show. He was talking with Nick Aldis, or not Nick Aldis, he was talking with Adam Pearce and kind of teasing the idea that he might go over to SmackDown. He said that Nick Aldis understands his talents. And then all of a sudden, Rhea Ripley came by with a contract, and then the camera followed Rhea Ripley. Miz was pissed off about this. And then Rhea went over to check in on Dominic Mysterio. We had Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre, which I thought was the best match of the night and maybe the highlight of the show. Even though this is another match where Sami Zayn is not winning. Drew McIntyre's facing Seth Rollins for the world title at Crown Jewel. So, as I like to put it, it's highly unlikely, in all likelihood, that Sami Zayn was going to win this match. But it was very good. I will say that. And they got the live crowd into this. To their credit, they put on a hell of a performance here. And they had a feeling out process, and the crowd was doing the dual chants. Zayn was trying to take McIntyre down with the shoulder tackles. He tried a chop, which just pissed off McIntyre. McIntyre was chopping Zayn. They went to the outside of the ring, and Zayn came off the barricade with a backflip onto McIntyre, and then back in the ring, they traded shots. McIntyre was taken down with a clothesline, and then they were back on the outside. Zayn went for a dive over the top, but McIntyre caught him, tossed him onto the announce table, and then after the commercial break, Sami Zayn started to make his comeback. He delivered a suplex, and then clotheslined McIntyre over the top, hit his dive, got McIntyre back in the ring, and they were in the corner. Zayn delivered a sunset flip power bomb, and McIntyre kicked out, of course, but the crowd was loving it. They chanted, "This is awesome." And then Zayn hit the Blue Thunder Bomb. I'm not even going to do the joke. I know Andrew Chen was waiting for it, but yeah, Drew McIntyre kicked out of the Blue Thunder Bomb. Are we surprised? No. Was the crowd thinking it was the finish? Yes. So to their credit, the live crowd bought it. They are in Texas, so yeah. I mean, in the moment, sure, the guys put on a good enough performance. You might be able to think, oh yeah, he's going to win. Not realizing that the Blue Thunder Bomb has only won like one match in the past 10 years. But you know what? They're just having fun. I'll let them enjoy their moment. But yeah, Blue Thunder Bomb, except for that one time, never wins a match anywhere, any place. And then Wade Barrett had the audacity to say, and I quote, "The vast majority of opponents are done there." Really? To quote The Miz, really? Tell me more than one person that fell victim to that Blue Thunder Bomb. Anyways, back to the match. Both guys were down, and McIntyre was perhaps on the verge of winning. Rhea Ripley came down. Sami Zayn almost beat McIntyre with an inside cradle. Then he went for the haluva kick, but Rhea Ripley distracted him. And then McIntyre got the win with the Claymore. Great match, but did we really need Rhea Ripley out there at the end? I know they're trying to build up the McIntyre Judgment Day storyline. But Sami Zayn, once again, the stupid baby face, getting distracted by Rhea Ripley, whatever. Backstage, we had Nick Aldis talking to Chance and Carter. Why he's talking to them, I don't know. Like, why not talk to somebody higher on the totem pole? Adam Pearce interrupted and wasn't happy that Aldis was chatting with his superstars. And Aldis said he was just having a friendly chat. Well, yeah, maybe he was talking about something else. In that case, Mickie James better look into that. Adam Pearce was unhappy, and Aldis said that he knows Pearce has been having a rough night. So he said he'll just go ahead and take off. And they had a very phony handshake, and the plot continues to thicken with these guys. And yes, to be fair, as Frank put it, Rhea Ripley is going to be a distraction. She comes out there. You could be competing for the world title, and she comes out there, and you're going to get distracted. You're going to be like LA Knight. You're going to have a good view of her in the reflection of your sunglasses. We had Akira Tozawa versus Bronson Reed. I mean, you know exactly what this is about. Bronson lost last week, so he's got to rehab. He's got to get a win here. And Tozawa got in a few moves, did some chops, kicked Reed a couple times, but was no match for big Bronson Reed, who quickly beat him with the tsunami. And then backstage, we had the tag teams, Alpha Academy, New Day, DIY, and Tozawa was given a Dallas Cowboys title for his efforts against Reed. They did announce that DIY will team up against Imperium on next week's show. And then we had a little backstage segment with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Rollins applauded McIntyre for his first win as the newest member of the Judgment Day. But then McIntyre brought up how maybe it's Rollins who needs Judgment Day. And Rollins said he doesn't. And both of them agreed, no Judgment Day. This is kind of reminding me of Lex Luger versus Tatanka from SummerSlam 94, where $1 Million Man was teasing to be in somebody's corner, or even like Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair teasing to be in the corner of either Randy Savage or the Ultimate Warrior. So it reminded me of those storylines back in the day, like the heel faction is trying to pick a side here, and we're wondering at Crown Jewel who's going to be on the side of Judgment Day. So that's what they're going with here, and it's an interesting storyline. I'm really curious to see if maybe Drew McIntyre ends up in Judgment Day. We need some kind of a shock. We need like a big swerve, because as good as the wrestling has been on this show and the storylines have been pretty good, like I want a jaw-dropping moment, like holy cow, this is a major shift. And I think that would be good for the Raw brand to have something shocking. Maybe it's Drew McIntyre leading Judgment Day and Damian Priest gets kicked out. I mean, there's some possibilities. We'll see what happens coming up at Crown Jewel. Or maybe it's like SummerSlam where neither of them end up with Judgment Day. We had our main event of the evening, which was Jey Uso versus Damian Priest. Priest was dominating a good part of the match. Jey Uso was struggling for a while. Priest gave Jey a flatliner on the announce table, threw him back in the ring. Jey eventually made his comeback, was going for the Uso splash. He did hit it, but then Finn Balor ran down, and Jey Uso, stupid baby face, goes after Balor. Damian Priest takes advantage, and then when the referee isn't looking, Balor takes an additional cheap shot at Jey. Priest picks up the win with South of Heaven. And then after the match was over, Cody Rhodes hobbled back to the ring to come to Jey's aid. He fought them off, was going to use the chair on Priest, just like what Priest did to Cody at the start. But Balor was able to pull Damian Priest to safety, and that was Raw. Show was fine, but did not blow me away. Basically, we got the setup for Cody versus Priest. I'm moderately interested in the match, not overwhelmingly invested in it. Best thing on the show, like I said, was Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. That was a really good match, and the show was fairly solid, but no big shocking moments or anything out of the ordinary. Not a super eventful Raw, in my opinion. So I'm giving it a C+. It was okay, but I really wasn't feeling like, oh my God, Crown Jewel, I'm so pumped up for the show. Like, it was just okay. That's all I got for Raw. And I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. If you did, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Tell a friend. Spread the word. We got a lot more stuff coming up this week. We got Dynamite. We got SmackDown. And it's going to be a busy weekend. Halloween's coming up. Everybody stay safe out there. Enjoy the final days leading up to Halloween. And we got merch over nodq.com/merch. Say yeah to No DQ and a new 25-year anniversary t-shirt. You can pick that up over at nodq.com/merch. Have a great night, everyone, and I will see you all next time.